What's going on? Before we start this video, just a reminder that we are still accepting submissions right now for our first ever film festival. So if you're a horror filmmaker and have a horror short or feature film, consider looking at the link in the descriptions below. It's going to be April 29th and 30th. April 29th will be exclusively digital, whereas April 30th will be live in person at the Alamo Draft House in Winchester, Virginia. So come, please, show us your nightmares. Welcome to Victims and Villains. If you guys are new to our content, we create content like what you're watching right now, simply to educate and engage individuals like yourself on mental health awareness and suicide prevention through pop culture. My name is Captain Nostalgia. I am a podcaster, a writer, and a events coordinator here. And if you guys want more information about what we do through our podcasts, events, film festivals, check out the links in the descriptions below. But for this video, we are talking about a documentary that I am super pumped on. Today we're talking about the documentary Boris Karloff, The Man Behind the Monster, which you can stream exclusively on Shudder beginning January 27th. It's weird to give a synopsis for this because this film literally gives a in-depth and comprehensive look into the life, career, and legacy of Boris Karloff. You guys have never heard the name Boris Karloff before. He is probably most famous for bringing Frankenstein to the screen, as well as The Mummy. He voiced the Grinch, and his career is so expansive, expanding over decades. And what I liked so much about this documentary was just getting to see not only what the challenges were like for him as a up-and-coming actor, and also kind of like how films like Frankenstein and The Mummy really influenced and impacted his career, but also how it simultaneously typecast him from really moving on and pursuing other roles outside of the genre. And it is really fascinating to note the structure of his career, to where it starts off very slow, then hits a high point, then comes back down, then hits another high point, and then eventually, and it's the second go around, it's really just awesome how the beginning half of his career really impacted and resurrected his second half of his career. And some of the stuff that I'm talking about might sound like spoilers, but we live in the age of the internet, so it's out there. Thomas Hamilton does a wonderful job crafting this documentary. I will say one of my biggest pet peeves about this documentary is the beginning. The first act of this kind of feels like it's stumbling to find its footing for the first 15 to 20 minutes while it's talking and introducing the ideas of who Boris Karloff is, but also how he began. An awkward transitional period when the documentarian is kind of laying out to the audience what they're going to spend the next hour and a half, if not 2 hours, investing in time, especially if it's only focusing on one person. It's really hard to kind of make that transition with, this is who this person was, this is where their story begins. It's a really tough transition, and unfortunately, this one doesn't have that smooth transition, but once it makes that transition, it's smooth sailing. I'm going to say this, I've never seen any other documentaries about Boris Karloff, but I will say that this, in my opinion, is the definitive documentary moving forward. And even though it's January, I'm probably going to also say that this will probably be one of the best movies of 2022. And if you listen to our Scream episode, you'll know that I probably also said the same thing about Scream. So if you've seen Scream and haven't listened to our episode, check out the link in the descriptions below. Another thing that I really like about this documentary is that it actually has time to breathe between the years, between the segments, and between the projects. I feel like sometimes when you're looking at documentaries like this, it's really easy to just kind of glaze over and be like, yeah, he was Frankenstein, he was the Mummy, he had so much impact on the universal monsters and how we see and how he shaped the modern, what we now know as horror, being a really a foundational layer. But Hamilton really allows each project to really breathe. Like I learned so much about the process of Frankenstein and also the Mummy, and just really a lot of the makeup processes and kind of like what it was like doing what the challenges were him as an actor, what it was like moving from one project to another. Perhaps one of the hardest things about taking an icon like Karloff is to really humanize him and really make the audience empathize with this character and their struggles. And sometimes that part of filmmaking gets lost in documentaries, but I am happy to report that Hamilton actually does a really good job at humanizing him as a character while also simultaneously allowing the characters to cheer and really root and be sad when there's sad parts and stuff along those lines. It does a really good job at humanizing him as a character. I don't want to honestly say anymore. This was such a treat and a pleasure to be able to get to view for you guys. It is by far a documentary that I'll probably be revisiting a couple times throughout the year. If you're a fan of the Universal Monsters, this is a must. If you are a cinephile, this is a must watch for you because it is basically showing one of the pioneers in not only the horror genre but also films as a whole. And also, it's another interesting thing to note is that one of the things that this film does really well too is not only does it show Boris Karloff's influence over the medium of film, but also how the genre of horror has also been shaped, not only by him and the other Universal Monster actors, but also at the same time how it has evolved during his duration as an actor. Truthfully, I found that kind of fascinating. Alright, so I'm going to run this through our Rorschach rating scale. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 4 out of 5. I cannot recommend this movie enough. Our mental health moment for this particular documentary is going to actually come from Karloff himself. Surprise, surprise. But if you guys are new to our content and don't know what a mental health moment is when we essentially analyze a theme of mental health from whatever we are reviewing in order to encourage you, the viewer. There comes a point early on in the movie where the film discusses about how Karloff actually considered hanging up the acting, and he really loved it, but it just wasn't working out for him. And then he nailed Frankenstein, and well, we all know the rest of the story. Actually, you probably don't. You should really watch this documentary. But the point is that never give up. Never stop chasing the thing that makes you happy, the thing that brings you joy. Because one thing that I find that a lot of us, myself included, sometimes really fail or really are quick to forget is that, quite honestly, like, it's not just about money, it's not just about the bills, but you have to find something that's going to make you happy and something that's going to bring you joy, because in the end, it's going to be a better stimulant for your mental health, and it's going to be a better outlet for your mental health. And I really hope that encourages you guys. I really hope that the journey of Boris Karloff really inspires you to keep pursuing your dreams, because you never know what opportunity is going to knock. If you're a writer and you like to write, you don't know the thing that you're writing right now could be the next great American novel. If you're a screenwriter or an actor, you don't know the project that you're working on could be the next Titanic or Avatar. The point is, do what makes you happy. Whether you see profit from it, legacy from it, or you don't. Because at the end of the day, do what makes you happy and do what brings you a healthy slate of mental health. To anyone watching this right now that needs resources, consider the links in our descriptions below. If you guys are watching this on IGTV, check the link in the descriptions. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you guys subscribe to this YouTube channel. We are going to be in IGTV. We are going to be giving you guys some insiders' thoughts on this year's Sundance film festivals, horror selections. So make sure that you guys are tuned right here and find out what movies you need to be on the look out for this year. I've got a couple of hints, hopefully. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and make sure to check out Boris Karloff, the man behind the monster, streaming exclusively on Shudder beginning this upcoming Tuesday, January 27th. Have a good night, guys.